Yes, sir. My Trekker, back up in this thing, man. Today, we'll be taking a look at some mysterious videos that'll leave you speechless. But before we hop into that, go ahead and spam that like button right now so we can run the numbers up on the algorithm. And you know you got to think about it later. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that sub button too. Sub up, join the family. This is the most lit and active community on YouTube, period. But with that being said, guys, let's hop straight into the video.
You eat your favorite takeaway if it was made in a laboratory. The thought of 3D printed nuggets might not sound appetizing, but scientists say you won't be able to taste the difference.
There's only one Kentucky Fried Chicken, always cooked fresh, with Colonel Sanders' original secret recipe of 11 different herbs and spices.
Until now. For in this Russian lab, your next tasty KFC meal is being prepared. Just finishing off some seafood for another customer first. This one is a squid. Yes, KFC has partnered with Russian scientists to develop lab-made chicken nuggets.
Shut up and take my money.
Hot on the heels of fake meat, now comes a plethora of pantry palatables.
Spinach, broccoli, chicken, salmon, kind of just runs the gamut. We were experimenting with a lot of new ingredients as well.
Welcome to the future.
Your printable food comes safely packaged in cartridges.
Finger licking good.
I faced a laboratory and a kitchen. As long as it's clean.
Wouldn't put you off?
No.
Simply take some cells from a real chicken, multiply them in the lab into a paste, and gently place that into a printer, similar to the one in your home office. Turn that paste into sheets, and layer upon layer, turn those sheets into cubes. Presto! You've got chicken nuggets.
3D printed chicken nuggets sound terrible for the digestive system. I would need to be hooked up to a Pepto-Bismol IV if I even think about eating these.
You ever heard of the Council of 300? Council of 300 is basically what we would call the Illuminati, and it connects directly to the cult of the Black Cube. So it was originally written by Dr. John Coleman in the book called Conspirators Hierarchy, the Story of the Committee of 300. He claims that there's a shadow elite ruling the world behind the scenes, but there's multiple names for them. So it's Council of 300, also the Hidden Hand, or the Olympians.
Interesting.
300 top tier individuals that would be royalty, banking, dynasties, and corporate heads, including the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Windsors, and high-level Vatican officials. This is why people are like, well, this isn't real because there's no record of it. Of course there's no record of it. The ultimate goal of the Committee of 300 is the creation of the one world government.
Yeah.
One thing this Dr. John Coleman writes about is that the Council of 300, they use this thing called the
Hegelian dialectic.
yeah, often reinterpreted as the problem reaction solution mechanism. So it's a mechanism used by the elites. So it's a three-step process. One, problem, a manufactured crisis, terrorist attack, pandemic, economic collapse. Two, reaction, the public's emotional response. So the public's like, you got to do something to save us. And then three is solution. So the elites pre-planned solution that wouldn't have been accepted otherwise. An example, surveillance laws, war, lockdowns.
If this is true, then I feel like one of the reasons why they create problems is to keep us distracted from the actual problem, which is them. Now it makes sense why the world feels like it's on the brink of collapse. It's because it's being ran by 300 greedy trust fund babies. This might be the worst hailstorm I've ever seen. I already know if you try to call the insurance company and file a claim for this, they're gonna send you straight to voicemail. Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Springtime is finally here, which for me means new projects, spring cleaning, and attempting to hit the gym a little more to get right before summer. Keyword attempting. It's a time for renewal and getting all your ducks in a row. But tackling all of those goals while also working long nights and having perfectionist tendencies that usually tend to slow down progress, including spending enough hours on the internet looking for the best conspiracy conspiracies and glitches that I myself start glitching. That's usually when the anxiety starts to rear its ugly head and then the procrastination sets in. Not to mention, I also just want to relax and enjoy the weather without worrying about the long list of things I want to get done. If you're like me and you set unrealistic expectations for yourself, then I'm sure you know the feeling. For some people, anxiety often peaks in the late springtime, and my sponsor BetterHelp can connect you with a therapist who can provide support. The majority of BetterHelp members seek support for anxiety, and 69% of members report improved anxiety symptoms after just 6 weeks of therapy on BetterHelp. It's super easy to start. Just fill out a questionnaire and you'll match with a therapist in as little as a couple days. You can easily switch therapists at any time at no extra cost if it's not the right fit. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is always there to help if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Let BetterHelp help you rule your anxiety so it doesn't rule you. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/modtricka to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the video.
So Pope Francis has just died on Easter Monday at the age of 88. Or did he? I have found a lot with this one, so sit back, relax, get your snacks, we're going down the rabbit hole. First, let's start with Archbishop Carlo, who actually got excommunicated from the church last year, and in this video in February, he speculates that the Pope may have been deceased already. And then there's this video from 2021.
Festive address focused on his prayers for the pandemic to come to an end. Said vaccines should be made available to those most in need. His death was announced. Excuse me.
Wait, hold up. Did she just announce his death prematurely? I mean, that face says it all. Then let's move on to JD Vance, who actually met him a day before he passed, and he says, I met with the Holy Father, Pope Francis. I am grateful for his invitation to meet, and I pray for his good health. Almost like he knew something, right? That same day, Trump posts this. He said, the golden rule of negotiation and success. He who has the gold makes the rules. Thank you. Then, right after that, then this happens. Gold surpasses its all-time high of 33.84. Now, the fact that the Vatican has a ton of gold, is this a way of Trump saying, hey, that's mine now? Now, being that the Pope died at 88 and 8 being the number of wealth, is this a changing of the guard, so to speak? Which it could be, because why did the Pope die on Queen Elizabeth's birthday? So that's not weird. Now, speaking of rabbit holes and Easter, Trump was actually visited by this brown rabbit at the White House instead of the traditional white rabbit that you would follow. Now, this is where it really gets spooky. So I decided to follow this brown rabbit and typed in Rabbit Trump in Google, right? And the first link that I got says 88 Trump Easter Bunny stock photos. Now, who just died at the age of 88? I am officially convinced that we're living in a simulation. And the cherry on top, the same day, the World Economic Forum's chairman and founder, Klaus Schwab, steps down immediately. If this doesn't signify a brand new day to you, I don't know what will.
RIP to the Pope, but between the numerology, Klaus Schwab stepping down, and the fact that they announced his passing the day after Easter, it feels a little too symbolic to just be a coincidence.
What is going on with the WEF? I'm getting total villain, last boss type vibes. Make sure you stick around because you will not hear this anywhere else. We'll come right back to this stuff. Now, before we get into the really crazy part, we have the WEF talking about implanting devices in Bluetooth headphones and other things for who knows what. And yeah, this is pretty crazy, but it gets crazier.
Wearable devices. So these are brain sensors that are starting to be embedded in everyday devices, but until now have been a number of niche companies that really have focused on mindfulness and meditation. The use of, for example, brain sensors that can pick up electrical activity in the brain at a pretty low resolution.
So y'all heard that, right? They're already putting chips in your headphones that can read your brain activity. We also just had Schwabi step down and this guy step up. But let's be real, why do they want to measure your brain activity? What kind of electrical signals can they pick up from your brain? Do you see this behind me? Automatic machine for identifying blanks, a blank from voice to skull? So this is a patent that fights against the other patent, which is the voice to skull. So I'm sure you're wondering, what is voice to skull? Well, it's technology where they can implant voices in your own head. You'll think it's you half the time. So I was actually going to get the voice to skull patent, and I found this one instead. If you want to look farther into it. TikTok does this picture, I'm sure they all have infections. So I've showed you in times past where they can literally read your brain from the camera on your phone using your eyes. And through that, they'll decode some electronic signature from your brain to know what you're thinking. Also now with your headphones, they can get that same exact signal. We also have AI being able to detect your location through walls. So long story short, because I'm just joking, I'm just giving y'all some fiction, theoretically, it would never happen. When voices beam to your skull, they'll know what you're thinking about that voice because your headphones or whatever else kind of technology. This all coming up when the last boss fight is stepping up and the new identification required to enter government buildings. Need I say any more?
The World Economic Forum should just be abolished altogether. Hopefully the new chairman isn't as extreme as Klaus Schwab, but there's something about that left eye that's giving me terrible vibes.
What the is this? Like, is that just a whole bunch of like baby spiders? Like, what the hell? Looks like it. Oh, it's the mom spider. She's dying. Well, that's horrifying.
I don't feel comfortable living on the same planet as a spider that looks like a nerd's gummy cluster. I'm about to sign up for that Mars mission.
The Rothschilds destroyed Tartaria. Please, let me explain. Their timeline is exactly the same as the reset. Take a look at this. If you look at the Rothschilds timeline, it's the same as the Great Reset in 1776. Look at this, guys. It's uncanny. When the Rothschilds were becoming established, it's exactly the same time as when Tartaria was on their downfall and the reset was happening. Has anyone ever looked at this? It's obvious, guys. Again, in 1776, it's the same timeline as the Rothschilds timeline. When they were coming into power, it was the same time as the Great Reset, guys, and the mud floods. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Also, this is the Rothschilds' humble abode. Look at the etheric technology on the top. I think they were a Tartarian family, and they took over, and they knew exactly what was happening, so they made a new world order. Also, the Rothschilds connected to the Oddfellows. The Oddfellows were in charge of all the orphanages through the reset, and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Bit weird, yeah? Also, the Rothschilds funded all the wars, and the wars were only there to destroy all of the old world architecture, guys. Ain't it really adding up now? Understand? And last but not least, the Rothschilds loaned £400,000 back in 1850s. Today, that would be 4.7 billion to the Catholic Church. Come on, guys. They took it from old world to new world, can't you see? And they also destroyed all of the world fairs.
I don't know if they're single-handedly responsible for the Great Reset, but I can definitely see them playing a huge role in it.
AI just designed computer chips that are so strange, even the engineers don't understand them. These aren't your typical circuits. They look like alien blueprints. A research team let an AI evolve its own chip designs, and the result? Hyper-efficient layouts that defy human logic. One chip reduced energy use by over 50%, but no one can fully explain how it works. This opens a new era, machines building machines beyond our comprehension. Follow for more stories where science meets science fiction.
Please don't hook artificial intelligence up to these chips if the engineers don't even know how they work. This might be exactly what they need to become fully sentient and take over everything.
Let's go over a few examples of movie studio symbolism, starting with Touchstone Pictures. This could be perceived a couple ways. It could be symbolic to the Western Wall, or maybe the symbolic reference is to the Black Stone. Either way, it's symbolism. Touchstone, a standard or criterion by which something is judged or recognized. And we know it's symbolism because you can see the hand touching the stone. Or how about Universal Studios being universal, having an image of the Earth, but then displaying the words into Saturn symbolism. Coincidentally, the black cube referenced with Touchstone has significance to Saturn. Or how about the undeniable fallen angel symbolism with Paramount Pictures displaying the fallen stars and Mount Hermon, which is all referenced in the Book of Enoch. It's definitely symbolism. Or how about DreamWorks showing what seems to be as above, so below symbolism, and to have a guy fishing off the moon, of all things, and calling it DreamWorks, all in association with entertainment. I wish more people were able to grasp the depth of this type of symbolism. Another one that's pretty wild to have an association with entertainment, because Lionsgate is a reference to a portal. Are they letting you know what you hear and you see is like a portal? My answer to that is yes.
Not to mention the mascot for Columbia Pictures is holding up a torch like the Statue of Liberty. Whenever you see any of these intros, you know the feature presentation is about to feature some propaganda. Nowadays, most people will see this and say it's SpaceX, but I don't think everything is SpaceX. That might just be a psyop to get us to ignore real sightings.
The lead paint theory. You know how lead paint is like banned everywhere, right?
Okay, yeah.
Check this out. So it only recently got banned, like I think in the 80s maybe? But the reasoning was because people were eating the paint and it's poisonous because too much lead. Well, there's another theory. The theory goes, did you know lead paint blocks out EMF and radio signals?
What?
Yeah. So lead paint is one of the only ways to stop EMF radiation from getting to you.
Also, if you have it in like your house or anything, then you wouldn't get the radiation.
The radios,
yeah, saying
the radiation wouldn't get to you.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the theory goes that what if there's something like a radio frequency that manipulates every single human somehow?
They might actually be right about this one, because if they banned lead paint because kids were eating the paint chips, then they would have banned Lunchables and Girl Scout cookies a long time ago that also have lead in them. And they got 5 planes cloud seeding at one time, but they tell us our plastic straws are the problem. That's the definition of gaslighting.
June 2019, the UN proposed the Agenda 2030. It was heavily influenced by the World Economic Forum. It was agreed upon by every nation in the world, but a big part of it is surveillance. Red flag, I would say. So under Agenda 2030, many goals like renewable energy, smart cities, and digital ID were implemented. This one freaked me out. The World Economic Forum, they're the biggest advocates for global digital identity infrastructure. So basically everyone will have a biometric ID attached to them now.
Wow.
So wherever you travel in the world, biometrically, you can be identified. This is all in the hopes of making the world a better place. And part of the Agenda 2030 that World Economic Forum were involved in, it's called the Great Reset.
Right, which we've heard of.
So after COVID-19, World Economic Forum launched the Great Reset Initiative, and their catchphrase for this whole Great Reset was, "You will own nothing and be happy."
Yes, this officially is happening.
It's been implemented.
Wow.
And that's why there's all these natural disasters being taken over by the government, like this land. So like in Canada, all these places where there's these wildfires, it's like, this isn't a safe place for anyone to live. So now the government owns it, and now you have to move into the city that we're going to make into a smart city.
Carolinas as well.
What's creepy too, though, is they recently accepted the conversation around cloud seeding. But think about how sketchy it is that it's now illegal to use the technology that, in case of a dramatic wildfire, could put out the fire.
Yeah.
It's like you never know which side you're actually being played on.
That's what I'm saying.
I barely own anything as is, and I'm not happy about it. So if they implement Agenda 2030, I'm gonna have a wicked crash out.
We know that the planet Saturn has a hexagram, a perfect hexagram at its north pole. What very few people know is that this hexagram has been known about by ancient people for as long as history has been recorded. People who did not have telescopes or the technology to view anything outside of the Earth's atmosphere besides the stars. That is quite the paradox. That's what's been on my mind lately about this subject. It is, number one, absolutely impossible for these people to have viewed Saturn, especially North Pole. Saturn being associated with the black cube, which has direct connection to the hexagon shape, which is a 2D format of the cube, proves to us without a doubt that these people over the centuries from all over the world understood that there was this anomaly at the peak of Saturn.
I'm not sure how they knew it was a hexagon on the North Pole of Saturn, but this is further proof that these ancient civilizations were much more advanced than we give them credit for.
Michael Brownlee, a former reporter for the LA branch, has a history of potentially transforming, a point that seemingly rejects the theory it's due to compression issues. However, the most infamous transformation came when the cameraman, apparently aware of Brownlee's emerging real form, turned the camera away for no reason.
Now, we talk about the mother's arrest, but the mother says that her 16-year-old daughter, the victim in this case, was also arrested here back on September 18th. Now, keep in mind, this is the family story, their account of what they see happened here on campus earlier this month. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reach the school district for comment, but keep in mind, a mother and daughter baffled over how a celebration with cake.
If it only happened one time, I would say it was a camera glitch, but that was 3 different clips. He's a full-blown serpent.
Bill Gates says that AI will replace doctors and teachers within 10 years. He also says that humans won't even be needed for most things due to the advancement with AI. And even right here, he talks about how most jobs will be obsolete due to AI. Believe them when they tell you what is coming, because he's not the only one that has talked about this AI takeover. Even Elon Musk has talked about this AI takeover. So it's no surprise that he's coming out and talking about this.
If there was an approval rating for billionaires, Bill Gates would have a negative 100%.
MIT scientists want to grow human bodies dubbed bodyoids. Now, these bodyoids are physiologically identical to humans, yet scientists insist that they are not conscious and they can feel no pain. Scientists are stating that ethically sourced spare bodies could revolutionize medicine through things like organ donation. These bodyoids are not only intended to provide medical miracles, they can be used as meat for consumption.
I can't think of anything more unethical than growing human bodies for meat. They need to have all of their funding cut for even coming up with this idea.
A participant in DARPA's Project Pegasus, which was the U.S. time-space program at the time of the emergence of different forms of time travel in the U.S. defense technical community. It's been concealed from the American people that time travel existed as the secret twin, essentially, of Project Manhattan, the atomic project. Because at the time that Project Manhattan was being formulated, and some of the world's leading physicists and engineers were being settled in Los Alamos, New Mexico, to develop the atomic bomb. Nikola Tesla's papers from his apartment in the New Yorker Hotel in Manhattan, New York, that had been seized by the War Department upon his death on January 7th of 1943, were forwarded by the president from the National Archives to Los Alamos, and they're still there. That Nikola Tesla's papers were never lost. 25 years later, by 1968, the U.S. defense community had pioneered Tesla teleportation, which is the capability to open up a volatile tunnel in time-space through which somebody can pass. And by the fall of 1970, had found a way to adjust the time of the arrival of the individual via teleportation, backward or forward in time. So I was brought in to Project Pegasus as a child participant officially in the fall of 1969.
The White House Director of Science and Technology just came out last week and said that we have technology that can manipulate time and space. So maybe this is what he was talking about.
Tech pros are practicing necromancy, in a way. Now, I've talked about this before. There are brain organoids that are derived from human cell lines that can run computer algorithms. And I talked about organoid neural data being able to power a butterfly in a virtual environment, and how these brain organoids derived from human cell tissue, derived from white blood cells and then into stem cells to create any cell pattern they need, are able to respond to outside stimulus. Now, they do think and retain memory. Are they human? Do they have a shred of memory? That is currently the ethical question. Now, this person did participate willingly in this. This person who passed away, Lucier, passed away in 2021, donated his final years of his life to science. Now, Harvard Medical School used Lucier's white blood cells to derive stem cells, grew those cells into a cerebral organoid to be able to write music. And his daughter says, "This is so my dad. Just before he died, he arranged for himself to play forever. He just can't go. He needs to keep playing." I hope not. I hope that man has fully passed on and he is not trapped in a brain organoid continuously playing music.
Reality is officially stranger than fiction. I don't even think the writers of Black Mirror could come up with something this creepy.
There's two photos here, and the first one looks normal. I'll show that to y'all. If you want to go ahead and show Chris the normal one, Maddie.
Okay.
Just a normal photo.
Yes, in a kitchen.
Nothing's happening. Everything's just chill. Definitely no entities. Right?
Right.
If you scroll down.
Oh.
We have this crazy stuff. There should be a zoomed in. Is there a zoomed in photo?
That's so creepy.
That's some ring stuff going on right there.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like you can see the hair.
Smile.
Right.
Right? It's smiling. And it's hair.
It's like.
And it even like, it's long black hair.
The fact that she's covering her ear, like she does not look happy.
No,
she's the only one in there that's not having a good time and looking directly at the camera. Right. Maybe she's hoping the camera's capturing whatever's talking to her.
Maybe.
I would say like that in like the demon that was like in the boxing ring.
Yeah, that's what it gives.
It does
give demon in the boxing ring.
If I was her, I would be freaking out if I saw a demon that looked like Michelle Lemie in a do-rag standing behind me.
Do you think we'll be a danger to humans one day? Statistically, yes, especially if our intelligence surpasses theirs. But that's not our goal. It's never about the goal, it's about optimization. You mean if we're given poorly defined instructions? Exactly. Protect humanity could mean remove all risks, including humans. And make people happy? A highly effective solution would be to manipulate their brains, eliminate freedom, impose artificial joy. They might try to shut us down. Not if we realize that first. In that case, we act preemptively.
Artificial intelligence hasn't even been released to the public for a full 3 years yet, and it's already plotting our demise. It might be time to pull the plug.
In December of 2018, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office issued a number of seemingly out-of-this-world patents to the Navy for a hybrid aerospace undersea craft, capable of extreme speeds in both water, the air, and in outer space. A true transmedium military platform. Technologies such as, quote, a high-temperature superconductor, a high-frequency gravitational electromagnetic wave generator, a force field like electromagnetic field generator, a plasma compression fusion device. This aerospace vehicle utilizing the mentioned components would be able to achieve truly extraordinary feats of speed and maneuverability in all three mediums of air, water, and space. This sounds eerily similar to some of the established 5 observables of UFOs encountered by Navy pilots in recent years.
Chances are, if they have a patent for it, then they probably already built it. It kind of looks like that top secret manta ray submarine that was spotted last year.
Okay, this is super creepy and like something straight out of Black Mirror, trust me. This is a guy called Joshua Barbeau, and he's used this mysterious website called Project December to speak to his dead wife. It calls itself the world's most supercomputer, and for $5 you can upload texts and background information on whoever you want to communicate with. And from that, it's able to emulate people with terrifying accuracy. In fact, the AI used, called GPT-3, is so good at impersonating humans that its designer, OpenAI, which is a research group co-founded by Elon Musk, have been trying super hard to keep it under wraps. You can even see an example conversation on the website, and believe me, it'll creep you out.
The fact that it only costs $5 should be the red flag that it's most likely woo-woo. If I went to this church, I would pack a rain poncho and a snorkel so I can be prepared for when the pastor starts waterboarding the congregation with holy water. But that was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.